Hello, welcome to the next round of Top X videos. First one out of the gate, we're going to do, of course, the quote-unquote jank, but it's not really technically jank. It's just cards that I think are sweet and you could brew around them. And there might be something interesting that you could accomplish and maybe even get a decent deck built out of it. But they're not necessarily like a top 10, and they're not really a card that I think, has a guaranteed shot of becoming a decent card in the set from the set. So that would be a sleeper. But so this one, it's more of an interesting like reference or interesting brew idea. So if you like this kind of content, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, share this video if you like. And let's break down the cards. Top 5 sweet cards from this new set. So first out of the gate, honorable mentions. Org Chitterlord has a very nice throwback to a Grave Titan, sort of, right? If you squint really hard, it makes a couple rats that have attacks or ETBs. It is out of the new Jumpstart packs. So I am kind of interested in seeing how it actually works out. I don't necessarily know if I want to, how I want to play this card, but it's definitely a card I want to at least attempt to play this season. I think he's awesome looking, and he, like I said, he reminds me of the good days when we had the Titans in Standard. So if we had the 5 Titans, I would be quite happy, of course, but we don't. So I'm going to have to settle with this thing, and hopefully he does better than I'm thinking he's going to do. The other card, of course, we have is Lord Skitter Sewer King, and basically at the beginning of each combat, we get a 1/1 rat. They can't block. And then when another rat enters the battlefield, we exile a target card from our opponent's graveyard. So it's graveyard hate against, ironically, Greasefang. So this rat stops the other rat. I like that. Nice little, flavor win there. But the fact that he's making rats, if you could somehow pump these rats, it'd be quite awesome. But I think this guy's actually pretty okay. He's okay enough to where if I hard cast it, I don't feel embarrassed, right? A 3-mana 3/3 is fine. Has incidental graveyard hate. So, and it makes 1/1 that you could sacrifice. So I kind of think this card's okay. Let's get into the top 5. Number 5 on my list, of course, is Foo Fight. A 1 red, colorless enchantment. Artifacts you control have pay 2, sack it, deal damage equal to any target equal to 1 plus the number of food fights you control. So if you can somehow make a bunch of artifact tokens, this is kind of sweet. And if you can somehow loot through your deck as well, so blood tokens might be pretty decent with this one in Pacific, right? Because you get to try to find your food fight, so that way maybe you could pay 2, sack an artifact, deal 3, deal 4. The more you could deal with this thing, the better. So I'm kind of intrigued to see how this card could be built around. Expect to probably see this in Jank Tank this season. So most of these cards I'm going to try to brew around for Jank Tank. Let's get into number 4 on my list. Spiteful Hexmage. It's a 1 black 3/2 that ETBs. You got to put a cursed roll token on target creature you control. Basically, it turns into a 1/1. So if you don't have any other creatures, this is just a 1 black 1/1. That doesn't seem very good. Of course, you can be janky and play Ornithopter on turn 1. Play Ornithopter, make the Ornithopter a 1/1. Play Hexmage. It's probably not a very competitive line, but it is a line you could take. So there's definitely maybe some ways where you can make the cursed roll token not be such a negative downside, and you can get a 1 black 3/2. I don't think there's any world where the Warlock matters. So if there's like an Orzhov Humans, and you can make this a 1 black, play Thalia's Lieutenant after this, and just actually that you could just put the roll token on Thalia's Lieutenant since it comes down as a 1/1. Who cares? It gets +1 counter. So I guess so. Maybe this could be done in some sort of Orzhov human list. Maybe I'm talking myself into this card is just a sleeper. I don't know. But that is number 4 on my potential sweet brew around / janky potential. Let's get into the next. Number 3 on my list is Sleep Curse Fairy. 1 blue, 3/3, flying ward 2. ETB's tapped with 3 stun counters. You may pay a 1 and a blue, untap it. Now, where this gets the jank factor is, there is, of course, infinite combos with this thing. If you put this under a card on my top 15 list this season, you can go infinite by untapping a mana dork, tapping it again, producing infinite mana. So that is where it gets the jank factor. It's also a wizard. I don't know if that actually is going to matter, and a fairy, which are 2 relevant creature types in this set. So I don't know if there's a world where that actually matters, but if you can get this thing to untap earlier, there's probably cheap tricks that you could do. Like there's a 1 blue untap target creature. It gets hexproof to win a turn. That shore up. There's other ways you could untap this thing for 1. But I would prefer the card that does that to replace itself. But that might be an interesting way to go about it. Like I said, it earns the jank round just because it is a potential infinite combo. And unlike the Glimmer Void or whatever it's called, not Glimmer Void, Glimmer something, which is a 1 and a blue for a 1/3 that you could pay the same amount of mana, untap it. This at least is not as an embarrassing card to hardcast. If you plan on going down that route, I'd rather have a 3/3 flyer than a 1/3 flyer. Just saying. But that is number 3 on my list. Let's get to number 2. Number 2 on my list is Ashiok. Now, where this card gets its jank factor is, of course, you could just pay all your life. Just keep paying life until your library is exiled. Then, of course, cast Thassa's Oracle, win the game. That is a possibility. Also, in that scenario, I guess you can't really ultimate it. Unless somehow you get, of course, have like a Vorniclex, put this after. And then it becomes a 10 loyalty planeswalker. You immediately downtick and win. So that's a possibility, but you need to be able to pay life. Like, maybe like maxed 5, pay 5 life. If you could do it on repeat, that's quite nice. Maybe this is the card that makes Doom Whisper an actual good card. Just pay 2 life, surveil 2. I don't know. But I do think this card is interesting. So, like I said, there is a possibility where this card can just combo off with the static ability. But it is 5 mana and it is basically kind of a do-nothing card. Exile, let's look at the top 2. Exile 1 of them and put the other in your hand. Not really a great plus. -2 is kind of not great. And -7, I guess, can end the game. If somehow you can, of course, combo with the static ability. But, yeah, so I don't know if this card's going to do much of anything. I don't even know if I'm going to even play this card this season, because I don't think it's very good. But I think it's interesting enough to be at number 2 on my list. So let's find out what the most sweetest card in the set / jankiest card in the entire set. Let's find out. So number 1 on my list is Blossoming Tortoise. 2 generic, 2 green, 3/3. Land creatures you control get +1/+1. Activated abilities of lands you control get -1 less to activate. So it can reduce something to a mana value of activation of 0. And when ETBs or attacks, mill 3, put a land into play tapped from the graveyard. So where this card is actually quite interesting is if you could produce infinite mana, if you could be able to untap your mirror pool, you can keep making copies of this Tortoise. The mirror pool gets sacked, goes to the graveyard. The new copy of Tortoise does you can target the mirror pool, bring it back. As long as your thing that untapped it is still, can untap itself, you could just go infinite. Like, so it goes infinite if you have Amulet of Vigor and other formats other than Pioneer. And Pioneer, only one I know of right now is if you can get a Shaya on the board to make your stuff become all lands. And then you have that Extort dude that lets you untap 2 lands. So you can untap itself and the mirror pool. Then that should give you a path to make infinite untaps for the mirror pool to make infinite copies of Tortoise. The very end, as long as you have a way to give the thing haste, you could just smash in for infinite amount of damage, right? Because you have infinite amount of turtles, which there is no sweeter way to win than having infinite turtles. So that is the end of my Jank top 5 for the season. If there's any cards that you think I should have included in this list, let me know down in the comment section. I want to know how you guys want to brew around each of these cards. I want to know all this in the comment section. And don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit that bell notification so we go for future videos. That also helps the algorithm. So until next time, hopefully you guys have a great rest of your day. Talk to you soon.